Okay, I'm gonna have to hold the microphone weird because I just painted my nails and I don't want to ruin them. That's also why, if you notice they look like shit, that's why. Eventually the paint will come off of my skin and they'll look like I did a good job. But until then, you're gonna have to deal with it. Okay, hello, my name is Ken. If you have been here before, welcome back. If you're new, welcome to whatever the fuck it is that I'm doing. I'm gonna have to start censoring myself. YouTube's not gonna like me. YouTube's not gonna like me if I keep swearing. But it's just part of who I am, you know? Today, we are going to be talking about Everything the Darkness Eats. God, I love how cool it looks on camera. This book is by Eric LaRocca. It is his debut novel. He has been known to write short horror stories, and they've been very good. One that was spread around on the internet for a while was Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Spoke Last, or Last Spoke? Which one is it? Can I check? Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke, which I am never going to read for the internet, unless it's for Halloween, because it's one of the most fucked up things I've ever read in my life. Also, I don't want to review a short story. That would be too quick of a video. I like to ramble more than that. We are going to celebrate today. We are going to celebrate because this is a book that I did not hate. Oh, I'm so excited. The last 3-ish books I did not like very much. Small Angels, I did like, but I didn't like the way it ended. And I think what I'm learning is that books really struggle to stick the landing a lot of the time, which maybe happens in this one. But I don't think it's awful. But before we continue, we are going to do some very lovely little content warnings because this book is very heavy. So the last review I did, I read the story live, like I live reacted to it online. I realized after reading 2 chapters of this book that I can't do that. There's too much happening. There's too much happening and it's not fun. And there's a lot of things. It is fun. I'm sorry, it is fun. Eric LaRocca, your book is fun. But a lot of the content I did need to pre-warn people on. So I pre-read most of the book and then I reacted to the last 2 sections live. And I'm really glad I did that because I don't think I could have reasonably read it without that because I needed to warn people. So your trigger warnings are homophobia, bigotry, religion, SA, like really bad. I don't know, do we need to, what else do I need to cults? Cults? Do we need to make cults a trigger warning? I don't know. Gays are in the book. Oh, beware, the gays are here. At the back of this book, it promised me bigotry, and goddamn did it deliver. It promised me cults too. I don't really know that there were cults around. Yeah, I don't know if I would say that there were cults. There's like one religious zealot. And I think that's about it. We're gonna do a little plot summary, and then I'm gonna talk about what I did and did not like. So this book takes place in a small town. What is the small town named? That's a great question. That's a great question. Can I find out? Henley's Edge. Small town called Henley's Edge. We follow 2 dudes. Separately, there are 2 different plot lines that we are following. One is Malik's. I want to talk about Malik's first. Malik has a first name. Malik is not his first name. I know for a fact that's not his first name. What is his first name? Where does Malik show up? Oh yeah, Big A-cab. This book, Big A-cab. What about keeping an officer on guard for a week or so? Malik asked, embarrassed to admit his fear. I don't think you have to worry about something like this happening again, the captain assured them. Matters like these are usually isolated incidents. We say ACAB for Captain Chisholm. Captain Chisholm literally said, maybe if you guys hadn't been so gay in public, you guys wouldn't have been hate crimed. So, we do not with Captain Chisholm. And also, he's literally Malik's boss. Like, maybe care a little bit. Or don't hire a gay cop if you don't like gays, you know? I think his name is Salim Malik. I'm not allowed to know. The book doesn't want to tell me. Oh, we're also going to do a little tab check. Look at how many tabs are in this thing. Look at the amount of those. I was having lots of feelings reading this, and you can tell. But there's only a couple that are part of my key. I'm just going to flip to wherever my key is. So that's my key. You can see that there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's only 5 tabs in the key. There are 7 that I used. One I added. Okay, this is my tab sheet. So these are the 5 that I started with, and then this one, I know it looks really close to the second one, but it is a different shade of gray. I checked. That one I put for sad things. Every time I felt sad, because I realized in the first chapter, I went, oh, this book's gonna make me sad as all the time. And then the 2 little skinny red ones, I'd used them as one, but they didn't want to stick together. And you'll see that there's like quite a decent amount of them. Right? Those are bigotry moments. Those are moments of bigotry. That's my bigotry tag. Which, I mean, the book does promise bigotry. And it does deliver. More than I think I ever could have anticipated. Okay, right, I was doing a summary. Okay, we're in Henley's Edge. Little small town. The prologue tells us about Mr. Hart Crowley, which we will talk about his name later. Hey, it's been a couple days since I filmed the main video. And I'm sitting here thinking, and I don't think I ever explained why Ghost is named Ghost, or why Mr. Crowley's first name is Hart. Basically, they both had mentally ill mothers. Although we can argue that maybe Ghost's mom wasn't mentally ill. But Mrs. Crowley, she named her son Hart when he was born because her heart was broken because her baby daddy vanished. And Ghost is named Ghost because his mom saw ghosts out the window and they were like, this kid's ours. He belongs with us. And she went, he's a ghost. So that's the explanation. Sorry for not remembering to say that in the main video. As he finds ancient ruins in like a dig site that tell him about maybe lightning Jesus, which is very exciting. And he's like, this is a summoning. And we're like, okay, dude, whatever you want. He's kind of the main villain. He's our antagonist. But we're not supposed to know that until later. But, like, he's not a trustworthy man. I don't trust him. Basically right from the get-go. I'm like, this... Also, he blows up people's heads in the prologues. I forgot about that. I just remember that right now. We are definitely told that he's not a nice man because he literally blows people up. He literally blows people up. Their heads. He blows up their brains. So, like, he's not a nice man. And then we cut forward, like, 30 years... and people are going missing. And Ghost is a man, and he doesn't really care that much. He doesn't bring up the missing people very often. He's just like a sad guy. His wife died. he's sad. He's been permanently scarred and people are scared of him and he doesn't want to talk to them and he just kind of like exists. And he has this little ghost. Ghost has a ghost. Ghost has this little spirit that like tells him negative things, which is crazy. And it'll just show up and be like, hey, these people don't like you actually. Nobody cares about you or your dead wife. Okay? No one gives any shits. And we will talk more about the spirit later. There are a lot of things I want to talk about, but I can't do it during the explanation. He meets a woman named Gemma. I immediately shipped them. Although he could have been certain he would have remembered someone as beautiful as Gemma. They're going to fall in love. We're going to have a love story between Ghost and Gemma. Double G's. I walk in the mornings on cobble roads sometimes, he said. By yourself? Ghost nodded. Gemma motioned to his cell phone. Why don't you take my number? She is in love with him because he magically made the nurse come out to take her daughter. Maybe don't marry a wizard, but that's up to you, Gemma. You can do what you want. And so does Ghost. Ghost is also like, wow. I would like to smooch this lady. The little spirit is like, Gemma's not going to care about you, which is incredibly rude. Gemma has a daughter named Piper, and she is blind. And she's very cute. She's like 9 years old. And then the other main character that we follow is Malik. And Malik is a gay man who's also a cop, who's also Muslim. So he's really just picking all of the contradictory, like, descriptors that you can have. Not that you can't be gay and Muslim, but, like, people don't tend to like that very much. People in the Muslim faith tend to not... And that is talked about, which is good. Eric LaRocca is a gay he-they. As a she-they, I relate. And he also was raised very religious, so he talks a lot about religion and bigotry and being gay and how those things interact with each other. These are common themes that he talks about, so that is what I expected out of this book, and that is exactly what I got. People are going missing. Nobody knows why. It's always old people, and then suddenly it's not old people anymore. And, yeah. That's all you're getting for your plot summary. That's it. You want a spoiler-free review? No. I want to talk about the meat and the juice of this book, okay? Okay, I want to talk more about these characters. So as of right now, we are now in spoiler zone. Okay, very excitingly, I am so excited to tell you this. None of the people that we care about die in this book. That is just right off the bat. This book has a reasonably happy ending. Do you know how little I expected that? I did not think this was going to be a happy ending book. I was reading this whole thing. I was stressed out. And then they're like, look, Ghost is happy. And I went, oh, Ghost is happy? And they went, yeah, Kennedy, Ghost is happy. And I went, oh, Ghost. I'm gonna cry right now thinking about how happy Ghost is. Ghost deserves to be happy, so that's why I am pleased that he is happy. Ghost is also bisexual. And that is a thing that we also talk about in this book. All of the men are not straight, and I love that for us. Including Mr. Crowley. Honestly, especially Mr. Crowley. Alright, so let's talk a little bit more in depth about these characters. So, Ghost, I want to talk about Ghost. I love Ghost. Ghost had a wife, and her name was Haley, and they died. Well, she died in a car accident, and it is a car accident that also permanently scarred Ghost. I have thoughts about this car accident, but we're also going to mention that Haley was pregnant at the time with an 8-month-old. She was in her 8th month of pregnancy, so she was about to give birth, and this is a cause for a lot of Ghost sadness that he was unable to have the family that he wanted, and he thinks about Haley all the time. And even when he meets Gemma, he's like, oh man, she doesn't want to hear me talk about my dead wife, which, like, dude. She's a single mom. She probably gets it. We do not know what happened to Piper's dad, by the way. He's just never mentioned. Which, honestly, him, if he's not around. Ghost thinks that he's a monster because he blames himself for the car accident. I, however, think that it was Lightning Jesus' fault. I think God killed Haley. Do I think that God killed Haley? Hold on. That was my theory when I was reading the book. Do I still believe that? No. Do I think that Mr. Crowley killed Haley? Maybe. Maybe. Pop the clip in of me thinking about this a while ago, while I think about it in the now. I feel like there has to be a connection with God being described as being like lightning, and dark lightning hitting the ground in front of the car right before they crashed. Maybe combining it with the tightening of the seatbelt around Haley, that maybe all of this was kind of set up in a way by the deity or the cult or something in order to sacrifice either Haley or the unborn baby. These are my thoughts. I am thinking. There's just something suspicious about the lightning. The fact that it hit so close to the car at that moment when Haley had unbuckled her seatbelt, which, like, wear your seatbelt, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else. Hey, if you're alive, wear a seatbelt. Okay? Wear a seatbelt. Alright, let's talk about Malik and his husband, Brett. I love them. I loved them so fast. Malik's parents are dead. I think, if I remember correctly, I feel like his parents are dead. And he was raised by his grandparents, who are also now currently dead. And he likes to believe that they would not have stopped loving him had they found out that he was gay. But he thinks that maybe they wouldn't. Because not only is he gay, he's also sleeping with someone who isn't also Muslim. Which is funny. That is a thing that he brings up, and I do think that that is, like, not that that's, but, like, how do I want to explain this? I think it's funny because you'd assume that the worst part would be that Brett is another man, but he's like, no, it's because he's not Muslim, and I'm like, you silly little goose. You silly little goosey guy. You little goof man. That's what you think your grandparents would be stressed about? They want to have a kid. They want to adopt a child. Malik is always working too much because he's a cop. And, they start getting hate crimed. Basically, every Malik-based chapter includes the F slur, by we I mean me, by which I have decided to replace with the word falcon, because I tried a bunch of other words, but falcon felt the best. Who did this to you? Malik asked, dragging his husband closer to him. He followed Brett's eyes to the office wall. It was then he saw it, a single word smeared with fresh excrement. And the word is the F slur, but I am not saying that out loud, but in full caps. That's why it gets a bigotry tag. One big word spread across the wall. Falcons. Formaldehyde. Most of the red bigotry tabs are times where Falcon is said. They literally just start getting hate crimed by their community. Like, it has their plotline basically has nothing to do with the other plotline until the very end. It's just that the town hates gay people. And they go get these gays out of our neighborhood. And I'm like, dude, you're gonna pick that fight when the old people are going missing? Like, maybe it's a good thing they're going missing if they're gonna hate crime. These two nice boys. These two nice dudes. No, nothing you've done, Malik assured him. It's just, the captain wants us to keep things less visible. He thinks we should try to blend in more. Brett scrunched, bewildered. I thought we were doing fine. I added flannel to my wardrobe, for Christ's sake. I love Brett. I love Brett. Brett woke up and went, I have to look straight? Get me a flannel. Get me a flannel. That's the solution. I'll dress like a lumberjack. They literally hire this motherfucker named Saint Fleece, and he sucks and I hate him. And I hate him so much. I would push Saint Fleece down a flight of stairs if he wouldn't then turn around and kill me. Saint Fleece just sucks. Also, I picture him wearing the same outfit that like velvet suit that Shaggy wears in Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed. That's always just what I pictured, and I don't really know why. I don't picture Matthew Lillard as being Saint Fleece. I picture someone more scuzzy. Way more scuzzy. Way more scuzzy. Okay, we find out that, like, God, everyone in this town is a bigot. I really need to include the section right now of Sylvia Childers being a bigot, and then her getting immediately kidnapped by Mr. Crowley. Not only is she a bigot, she's an idiot. She's a bigot. She sucks. But she's also only in 2 chapters, and then she's basically in a comatose state. Despite the fact that she had heard from several of the ladies from church that Mr. Crowley preferred the company of other gentlemen, she pondered the legitimacy of their claims, especially since he was so handsome and had most likely turned most of them down at one time or another. Regardless, she had prayed for him. Ew, 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 ew. She's a bigot. She's a bigot. This just in. Sylvia Childers, a bigot. We do not like that. I was told you sell cufflinks, he said, his eyes darting around the room. I'm looking for a pair of sterling silver, an inch in diameter, and accented with Brazilian emerald. Do you have that? Oh, I'm sorry, sir, Miss Childers said, closing her blouse's collar. We don't have anything like that here. We take donations from the community, and I'm afraid we wouldn't know what to do with something so expensive. It's a pity. I was told they'd be here, Mr. Crowley insisted. As he gestured, Miss Childers couldn't help but notice the small silver cufflinks embellished with green ornamenting the ends of the gentleman's sleeves. He described his own cufflinks. Like the ones you're wearing, she asked. Mr. Crowley glanced down at his cufflinks, stammered as if caught, and then composed himself. Precisely. I suppose it's a good thing you already own them, Miss Childers teased. Mr. Crowley's face hardened, his eyes fixing on her. Sometimes owning something doesn't mean it's yours. What? What does that mean? Miss Childers shadowed Mr. Crowley outside toward his idling car. Her hand pained her a little, but she couldn't be bothered with something so trivial right now. To her, his vehicle was a thing of magic, a mystical chariot, prepared to ferry them far away to some place truly wondrous. Yo, this bitch is gonna die big time. I love that she's like, women are going missing. And then she gets into a man's car as if that's not definitely what's happening. We don't know why Mr. Crowley is kidnapping people, and then we find out that he's doing it, and then he kidnaps Gemma, which is so rude. He does a lot of suspicious shit while he does that. It must be unbearable to have a child burdened with blindness, Mr. Crowley said, his eyes fixed on the photograph. It must be excruciating to have something she'll never understand. Eyesight. What a dick. I can't believe I didn't put a tag here. Hold on. This is getting a bigotry tag. Because fuck you, Mr. Crowley. The kid is fine. Big bigotry tag. You know, Mr. Crowley, you can write as hell, go fuck yourself. It must be unbearable to have a daughter who can't see. Fuck you, dude. And I sat there and I went, this isn't the normal person that he kidnaps. I don't like that. I didn't trust it. I was very stressed. It turns out he's trying to find someone to help him with the literal God, the Abrahamic God, literally God in his basement. And God is like a big light bulb, basically. A big magic light bulb. And it's like trapped in the basement. And after Gemma doesn't help because she is compelled to worship this giant ball of light, Crowley kidnaps Ghost. Well, not kidnap. He like brings him to the house, and then Ghost is like fine with whatever's going on. And he doesn't immediately worship him because he's sick of God's shit because he killed Haley, which like I might believe. I don't know how I feel about that yet. And they're like, okay, he's like, okay, I will help you with this ritual, and we will send God back to heaven. And while this is happening, Malik and his husband are continually getting hate crimed. One of the things that really got me when I realized that I was just like really into this book is there's a chapter where Malik comes home and he is a cop, so he is unable to notice all of the things in his house that are wrong, that like show signs of a break-in, and like I started getting stressed out because fucking Eric LaRocca is like, it wouldn't even matter if Malik had noticed. What was done was done. It was over. He couldn't change anything. And I went, what happened? No. And then we see Brett's body, and my body literally tensed. Like I stopped breathing. Okay, I need you to know how much of an emotional reaction I had to this book. I stopped breathing, didn't realize it, and then he mentioned that Brett was alive, and I felt my entire body relax. Like, it was crazy. Like, I was reading, and I genuinely went like, and went, that's never happened to me while reading a book before. I have yelled at books before, though. You know how, like, people will, like, watch a movie, and they'll go, no, don't go in there, as if that's gonna help. I remember reading Lord of the Flies and going, are you stupid? That's why I like live reacting to books, because then I can talk to my books and it doesn't sound as crazy. Probably. Also, never come in and ask to see my feet. You will get banned from the chat. My feet was in the last video too much, and I've genuinely pulled my table closer because you're not allowed to see my feet. Okay, so then Malik decides to go and kill Saint Fleece himself, which does not work, unbelievably. And he ends up getting knocked unconscious, kidnapped, and then repeatedly assayed by Saint Fleece and all of his guys. Which they take turns. Ugh. I don't want to talk about this for too much. But then Saint Fleece is like, I hate falcons, and one time when I was a kid, this falcon came and like made me and my friend do things to each other while we were children, and now I hate all falcons. And Malik is sitting there going, "Sir, that's a PDF file, not a gay man. That's not a homosexual. That's a PDF file." I love that I can't say these words on the internet, because honestly, I don't know if I'd be comfortable with saying them anyway. Which, like, okay, Saint Fleece is stupid, and he is a bigot. But I don't know how you think non-consensually having relations with a man repeatedly doesn't make you also gay. You know? It seems like we got a little bit of projection happening, because most straight men I know, I don't think they would do that as a punishment for someone being gay. I mean, I would hope not. If any of them do, you're not my friend anymore, and I will beat you up with my own hand and a half, okay? Yeah, and then they basically do that so much to Malik, and then they beat the shit out of him, and then Saint Fleece is like just stabs him until Malik starts to play dead. And then they dump him on the side of the road to die. Meanwhile, Ghost is out and about doing things for Mr. Crowley. And I love Ghost. He's not necessarily the best person. I think he's an alright man. And I'm happy that he gets a happy ending, and he's been through a lot of stuff, and I am sorry for him. But he also just decides that Gemma is the love of his life, and starts like being weird with her while she's in a comatose state. He doesn't do anything to her. I want to make that clear. He doesn't do anything to her. But he is weird. And then he also is like, what if I kidnap your daughter and bring her to you? Maybe that will break you of your trance. And so he literally kidnaps a blind girl. Which, like, don't do that. That's not the best course of action. But he goes through this ritual, and then he realizes that this ritual isn't to send God back to heaven. It is to make Ghost a proper sacrifice, so that Crowley can be the new god. Which is insane. Why would you ever want to be that? You know? And then it turns out that the little ghost, the little spirit that's around Ghost's neck, is real. It is a physical thing in the world. Just most people can't see it. Because it stops Ghost from getting stabbed. And that is a little confusing to me. But I don't hate it. I want to make that clear. I don't hate it. I like the thought of just like having a little like malicious spirit attached to you. What I don't understand is why it saved Ghost, and then Ghost is like, this whole time it's been a protector of me, which, like, It's actively bullied you and it like feeds off of your grief, my guy. Maybe that's not necessarily a good thing, but I mean, I guess it's not necessarily a bad thing either. Initially I thought that this was just going to be like a metaphor for his depression, but no, it's a real little ghost. Which is okay. It's just a little guy. He's just a little guy, and I like picturing him moving like this. I really liked this book. A lot of people didn't like it, or they were left disappointed. I think that's because Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke was so good and so grounded in reality and had such a good ending that like everything's going to get compared to that forever. And I don't think that's necessarily fair because yeah, they're both written by Eric LaRocca, but they're so different. And I really liked going kind of the supernatural route with this book. I honestly, I judge every piece of media by itself. I don't compare things written by people to other works written by the same person because I think that can be unfair. Because if you're looking for one thing that you liked in one book, you should just read that book again. You know? I really liked this book. I think it's harder for me to talk about books that I liked than it is that books that I don't like because it's harder to explain why I like something, but also I want you to read it. I want you to read it. Maybe I have to do a little book review and then like do something else for books that I like. Because like the last thing I want to do is spoil the ending. We can talk a little bit about things that I didn't like, and one of them is the ending because I feel like it was very abrupt. I feel like it just kind of happened. It just happened. They were just like, oh, all these things are happening, and now it's over. And I went, oh, just like that? And they go, yes, just like that. And I go, oh, damn. But I did still like the ending. I wish it was more, or it could have been like built up to more, or we could have experienced like the little spirit interacting with other things before this, like maybe showing that the spirit can take grief from other people as it does in this ending, and have him, I don't know, like what if he like makes like he convinces Ghost to go out to talk to other people to like tell him about how sad his life is, and then they feel bad, and then like the ghost like eats their grief. It's just kind of a confusing little ending, you know? I also definitely didn't like the essay. Not really my favorite thing to read about. And I really hate it when books use that as like a crutch for like people doing like messed up stuff. But also I feel like it was kind of thematic because that is something that happens with bigots. They tend to become a little violent both physically and sexually sometimes. But I was right. Gemma and Ghost were going to fall in love. Double G's indeed. Double G's indeed. But yeah, I don't know. I liked it. I can see why some people would be disappointed, but I think that ending a book is really hard. And especially one that's going to make people happy. And that's okay. And it's also okay to be a little disappointed. I really like the way that Eric LaRocca writes things, and I am planning on owning everything he has ever written. And I'm really glad that I noticed this book in the bookstore and bought it without knowing anything about Eric LaRocca. Um, all it made me want to do is read more of his work. And then I did that. And it's been really good. And I would like to read more. And I like his way of kind of looking at how far people are willing to go for things. That's a theme that I've noticed. I know that was a big theme of things have gotten worse since we last spoke and other stories. He even talks about that at the end of the book, which I love it when people are like, this is why I put these stories together in an anthology. It's because they all look at these things. And I go, wow, you put thinks into this. You were thinking. You woke up and decided to think things. That's so good for you. Not me babying Eric LaRocca. I like Eric LaRocca. I like the way that he writes things. I feel the feelings that he writes very big. I feel those feels real big. And that could be me feeling things bigly. That's just kind of like the thing that I do. But it can also be that he's a good writer. And I like to think that it's both. I also lost my voice while I was live streaming. And it made me very sad because I really wanted to finish the book. And I went, but I can't do it because I promised that I would live react to the end of the book. And like I literally couldn't talk. So that's okay. It was just the seasons were changing and my body was going, no, we hate this. Can we not stay a consistent season? And I go, no, bestie, we can't. I'm sorry, body. It's just not gonna happen. We live here. And here, that does not happen. Sometimes the seasons change over the day. So, yeah. Next book. I really want to read Bride of the Tornado, which is a book that I got for my birthday. I think it looks very interesting. And the back of it is described as The Mist meets Twin Peaks. Which, I mean, how could I not? How could I not? But also, I want to live stream Monstrilio. So I'm going to be doing that. Also, because I love Monstrilio and I really want to like dig into it like so desperately. I want to dig into it so bad. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to dig into it on Twitch and then I'm going to make a big video where I just talk about it for maybe like hours. Who knows? It's going to be like a deep dive into Monstrilio because it is, I think it's, did I give it a 5 out of 5? I believe in my heart it's a 5 out of 5. Did I write it down somewhere? Or did I just assume that I would remember? I just remember that I loved it. So I want to live read this with you guys and do like an in-depth discussion. And yeah. So thanks for watching. Watch something else of mine or don't. Have you read Everything the Darkness Eats by Eric LaRocca? So what did you think about it? Were you disappointed? Was the ending confusing for you? I wouldn't say it was confusing for me, but there were some things that I went, oh, I didn't know that was gonna be like that. I thought things were different and not like that, but they're like that, apparently. So, let me know. I love chatting about the different ways that we feel about things because we're all people and art is subjective. Okay. Alright. Au revoir. Goodbye. Go read a book or something. Go watch a movie. Go sing a song. Go do whatever makes you happy. And I will see you next time. Mwah.